What's up, YouTube? Capital G here. Alright, so today, guys, I'm trying something new. This is kind of like a discussion of a deck that I'm trying to get to work. I'm just not sure how I should go about it, and I'm thinking maybe some of the innovative minds who watch this video might be able to give me some advice or might be able to take this skeleton and make it work on a competitive level. Now, the reason that I came up with this concept is because sometimes I'll just be thinking to myself about the meta and I'll be like, what could be good right now? And a card that I came up to the conclusion is very excellent right now is DD Survivor. The main reason is because back row is back. And the main two cards that I'm talking about are Deep Prison and Bottomless. You guys know just about everything in the format outside of Frog Monarchs because they can't run back row. Max is on Bottomless Trap Hole. In addition, Deep Prison is starting to see, play in 2s and 3s. DD Survivor basically just it isn't disrupted at all by those two cards. Not to mention, if you combine its partners in crime, D-Fissure and Macro, well, now your DD Survivor can survive a Dark Hole. It can survive, being run over by any bigger monster, torrential tributes, mirror forces. Now he's kind of like indestructible. And that's amazing in a format like this where field presence seems to be very, very important. Now, the problem I keep having with this deck is, I keep running to roadblocks. I feel like Survivor's amazing. I feel like Macro and D-Fissure are amazing because, for one, they shut down Frog Monarchs, they shut down Dark World, they shut down Hand Traps, they shut down Ryo from being able to launch himself against Inherent Summons. I feel like these are really disruptive. He's really amazing on his own. But when I look at the rest of the deck, I'm like, how do I get this shit to work? And I keep trying to go different routes and different angles, and I keep running into these different roadblocks. The first way is conventional, just basic conventional macro. And I tried to think of all the good support cards. I'm like, well, even though Ryo can't launch himself, he's still a good standalone monster. It can slow my opponent down. Okay, well, maybe we'll run Ryo in this deck. I got Cyber Vow, and I'm like, well, if I don't have cards that I want to synchro or exceed into because I'm not really sure those are that viable. Obviously I can remove my Survivor or my Scout Planes for Cyber Valley, draw some cards. DD Scout Plane, basically the same exact, it's same purpose as DD Survivor. When it gets banished, it comes back, except for you can allure it. It doesn't have to happen on the field. And then Caius, basically the behemoth of the deck. It answers anything your opponent puts in front of you, from stall monsters to a BLS to synchros to exceeds. Basically, just about nothing protects itself from Caius. The thing about this deck is, and I tried to think, I'm like, DD Survivor keeps bringing himself back. How can we use that? First thing that comes to mind is, obviously he's synchro fodder, but I'm like, what synchro do I really want to make? I mean, I could throw in a Rose Warrior of Revenge or whatever her name is, and I can make a Stardust, and that's all good because it protects my back row, it protects my field, and my Survivor would come back. But then I'm like, well, I only get to use my Stardust once because it gets banished, so it wouldn't come back. I thought about, well, I could potentially exceed, but then I detached and I won't get to use my Survivor's effects, and it's like, there's my first roadblock is I'm not sure how much utility I can get out of the fact that this guy can constantly come back to the field other than Caius. Caius is just amazing because you're not going to summon Caius unless you have something on the field to get rid of, and Cyber Valley because you get to draw cards. So that's kind of the first roadblock I had with conventional macro. My second roadblock is always the question that everybody wants an answer to. What the hell do you do with extra copies of D-Fissure and Macro? And I really don't have an answer to that. I mean, do I run Wing Blast, or what can I do with these extra copies of these cards that I'm going to draw, because it's going to happen. My second angle was heroes, and I thought, well, if I don't open with my Macro or D-Fissure Survivor, if I can't get to my Survivor early, I have good standalone, or I have good first turn plays, obviously summon Stratos, get a Neos Alias. I have beaters at my disposal. I can also throw in something like, what's it called? Chevier, or however the hell you pronounce that. And it gives me the whole Gemini Spark angle. So I've got monsters that I can tutor, with E-Call. My Rhoda has multiple purposes in case, again, I don't even hit these cards. I still have a pretty decent hero deck, not to mention I can run Skill Drain. Skill Drain doesn't disrupt DD Survivor at all, and it won't disrupt my heroes. The problem is then, if I'm running macro, I can't use any of the fusions. I can't use Miracle Fusion, and it's like, this seems like a deck that is not going to be completely inept if it doesn't happen to hit these or this guy. But at the same time, it's like, well, I'm not sure that conventional heroes isn't just flat out more consistent. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's nice that I can exceed using my Survivor and make, Armor Ninja and Excalibur basically, like I can make it for less resources. But again, this guy won't activate when he goes to the remove from play. And it's just overall, I'm not really sure that it's as consistent as if I just ran straight up heroes. I think it just always kind of goes back to the fact that Rhoda is at 1. And it's like, I don't know with macro, man. It's like, these 3 cards are amazing, but what else does the deck have? Like, I need to find a way to make this shit work. People might suggest, run Summoner Monk to make sure you can always get to your Survivor. But it's like, okay, but what does Summoner Monk do when it gets Survivor on the field? It just sits there. I don't want to exceed because I don't want to lose this guy being able to come back forever. It's like, what can I do with Summoner Monk? And it's just like, I wish that this deck had like a Synchro or an exceed that I could build up to, and I could say, okay, I will sustain and I will maintain the game based on this card, based on the interaction of these 2 cards, and then based on making the Synchro. Like, why can't this deck fucking make like Legendary 6 Samurai Shian? Or why can't this shit make like Lagia or a Void Ogre Dragon? You know what I mean? Like, why can't it make a good lockdown card where I wouldn't have to, have chaos, or I can't answer what my opponent puts on the board? So I don't know. I feel like there is a good version of macro out there. I feel like these cards are too strong to just be swept under the rug. And, I'm wondering what you guys think. I think maybe the best version might just be to run like Scout Planes, Survivors, and then just a whole bunch of Monarchs, so that every single turn I can just drop Monarchs on my opponent, and that way I don't need to, worry about trying to like exceed and have lockdown or anything. It's just like, all right, well, eventually you're going to run out of answers for my Monarchs because Scout Plane and Survivor aren't going away. So let me know what you guys think. Again, I think these cards are too good not to, at least talk about. Thank you guys for watching as always.